Hello and welcome to the Black Robe podcast. I'm Carol Mitchell. I am your host for this evening. It is good to be back. We've had a break. We took the month of June off with the podcast. So we were in recovery from one of the most amazing experiences in May, the Freedom Summer Symposium. People are still talking about it. I'm still, as I said, recovering from the tremendous amount of energy that most of you who've done an event know. It requires a lot. But I'm thrilled tonight because we get to highlight one of the aces that participated in our Freedom Summer Symposium, who has launched his own nonprofit organization, and it's called Junxbox. Junxbox is how it's spelled, Junxbox. And it's a phenomenal, creative, innovative way to engage young people, fourth and fifth graders in particular, in designing, well, I suppose building. He's going to tell us all about the details, but having fun with computers and in fact, building their own computers from spare parts that have been donated for this purpose. So welcome to Ryan Wright.
Thanks so much for having me.
Our pleasure. Ryan, thank you for being here tonight to talk about your new venture. First of all, congratulations on a great design challenge proposal that you helped to draft and propose and put the fine points on. So thank you very much for your role in that. Looking forward to building out your idea later in the summer. We're going to have an opportunity to talk more about that. Today, though, is about your new baby. So why don't you start at the very beginning? Tell us a little bit about how you got Junxbox started and what is it intended to do?
Awesome. Yeah. So for me, Junxbox was kind of a passion project that I started when I initially began my career in IT. I've been in IT for 20-ish years now. So it's been a while, but for me, I kind of came from like a lower income background. And so having a chance to get my hands on technology was really difficult. And so what ended up happening is I got involved in a lot of computer user groups and so on. And being like with these other computer kids who were a little bit more affluent than I am, they would kind of kick me down their old hardware. And that's actually where the term, where the thing Junxbox actually starts. Is that so these kids, after I'd build my machines, they'd always joke with me and call them a junk box. And then, we'd game and, I'd beat them with their old spare parts. And so it was kind of a point of pride for me that I could, beat these cats with these junk boxes. And so then going forward through my IT career, I always wanted to get a chance to kind of give back to the community that I came from, and also to facilitate a lot of other younger cats who are coming up to get into IT. And so that's really where Junxbox begins at.
So back in June, you talked a little bit about this project. The big date is July 19th, but on June 19th, you spent some time at the Tacoma Colored Women's Club. That's where your big launch is going to take place on July 19th. So you sort of linked this effort Juneteenth, and I thought it was a very elegant connection that you made. You want to talk a little bit about how you see the work that you're now about to do with the nonprofit? What in the world does that have to do with freedom?
So to me, I think one of the most underappreciated things that human beings have is potential. We put a lot of emphasis on our physical attributes, but not so much on the limitless potential that exists inside of each of us. So everybody has somewhere they're supposed to be and something they can do. And so because of that, this program, what it's kind of designed to do is to give kids opportunities to see their potential. So a kid may not be really interested in building a computer, but by building the computer, what the kid does, it gives them the opportunity to have access to a digital marketplace of ideas. And so by being able to go out there and just take in as much information as possible, they can kind of find their own passion and develop that passion through their access to technology.
I love that. I love your desired outcome. And on July 19th, in a couple of weeks, you are going to do exactly what in this launch, in the kickoff of the Junxbox program. What exactly is going to happen when 4th and 5th graders show up in your space that night?
So the very first night, we're going to kind of have an orientation. We're going to go over what the whole program is going to be. The program itself is about 5 weeks long. So the kids are going to get their hands on hardware. They're going to build a machine. They're going to put software on it. They're going to go through and build their own network, and they're all going to get to play on that network together, doing some coding challenges. So a lot of work on the 5-week program. But the first night, we're really going to be diving into hardware and a little bit of an overview of safety, which I think is super important. So we have safety, and then we're going to start building the machines and learning all the components and how they all go together.
It starts at what time? And let's give them the official place and address.
Cool, awesome. Go ahead and pull the address for the Colored Women's Club up.
I could probably help with that one. The Tacoma Colored Women's Club is 2316 South Yakima in Tacoma, 98405 for those of you who for some reason need the zip code in order to get your GPS to cooperate.
Awesome. And so the program's actually going to be from 2:30 to 5:30, and we'll be meeting 2 times per week. So we're meeting on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Okay, so the first one's July 19th, 2:30 to 5:30, 2 nights a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. So tell us a little bit about the logistics. You show up there at, I don't know, 2:15 or so that day with your 4th or 5th grader. Can you just leave your children there, or are parents or guardians, do they need to stay? Tell us a little bit about the logistics.
So it is possible for you to go ahead and leave your kid for the program. Again, parents are also totally encouraged to stay. And if they'd like to, we would love for them to participate as well. So it's pretty open on that. What you can kind of expect is when you come in the door, you're going to have a sign in. We're going to get the information that we need. And then we'll have a waiver to sign. And then after that, we're pretty much going to hop into our chairs and get started.
Okay, and the IBJ is going to, we love to bring the food, bring the party. So we'll be there to help welcome your first class of participants. I do want to talk a little bit about your partnerships, because I think that's something that came together in such an amazingly unexpected way. Do you want to share a little bit about the partners who have donated equipment and all sorts of support to this effort?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of partnerships that went into making this happen. I mean, definitely the partnership with the IBJ is huge. We have the Colored Women's Club, who also is donating space, which is wonderful. We also made some partnerships with Goodwill of Tacoma, who gave some keyboards and some other peripheral devices. A really big connection too that we had was with Interconnections in Seattle, who gave us a wonderful deal on our first set of machines. And then a super big shout out goes to Free Geek down in Portland, Oregon, who has donated a considerable amount of hardware and has also agreed to go ahead and continue to sponsor Junxbox with hardware for each of our classes. So that's a wonderful thing. Junix down there did an amazing job.
And how much space do you have? If 400 people show up on Tuesday, July 19th, what are you going to do?
I'm gonna have to schedule them. I'm gonna have to schedule them out. Like, I think so. I've got like so I wanted to keep our first class fairly small. So we're gonna do our first run is gonna be about 10 students. After we do the first run of 10 students, we're gonna kind of see how it goes and then see if we can't expand that. So that's kind of how we're gonna go with it. The first one's 10, and then we're hoping to maybe expand it to about 20 per, but we'll have to play that by ear.
And how much are you charging for this experience?
Oh, so everything about the program is completely free. So there is no cost for the program. At the end of the program, the kids take home the hardware that they built. So the equipment that they built in class goes with them. So that's a computer for the home, a monitor for the home, keyboard, mouse, headset. All that goes with each of the kids when they graduate from the program.
That part is pretty difficult to believe. No charge for the program, no charge for the equipment. Just bring your 4th or 5th grader, drop them off, sign a couple of forms and log in, of course. And from 2:30 to 5 on Tuesday, beginning Tuesday, July 19th, you could have something really productive for your young child to do. Why 4th and 5th graders though? Why that age?
So initially my scope was 4th to 5th graders because it's a really good age to get your first, to be responsible enough with the tools and to be able to follow the instructions for safety, yet at the same time, kind of be more open to new concepts and ideas. And so I like the 4th to 5th grade range. We are looking to maybe expand that range and go for an age group, which is like 9 to 12-year-olds, right? To kind of give a little bit more of an opening for people to come in and engage after some feedback that I got from some parents. So we are kind of thinking about opening that up a bit, but 4th to 5th was, to me, was ideal. It sets them up for kids who are going to be getting ready to go move on to their middle school careers, and they're ready to kind of take on more advanced projects.
Well, let's tell people how they can get their young person registered. What's the best way to do that?
So the best ways to do it is you can send an email to social@Junxbox. It's social@junxbox.org. And you can just send an email with your name, contact information, and we'll get back and put you on for the class. You can also call me directly. My phone number is area code 253-231-2866. Or again, you can also go to the website, which is junxbox.org. And if you go out there, you can go to the Say Hi page, and there's a contact form there.
Thank you, Ryan. I do want to spend our maybe next few minutes or so going back to where we began with a little bit about your story. The IBJ Black Robe podcast likes to highlight what we call Crystal Stair Stories. It's based on Langston Hughes's poem, Mother to Son. And it's the stories that are stories of triumph and overcoming great, not necessarily great odds, but odds or barriers that can oftentimes be an encouragement to others who might be facing similar barriers. So I wonder if you feel comfortable, to the extent that you do, talking a little bit about that early experience that you had and how that informs this nonprofit work that you are now focused upon.
Sure, yeah. I mean, so for me, I mean, my background, I guess, is varied. I lived in a lot of different places. One of the places I lived in Hilltop during the 90s. I lived off 9th and M, kind of by People's Park. And when I was there, I saw a lot of violence and a lot of people who were had kind of given up. There wasn't a lot of hope for anything outside of like these few channels to success. And so to me, that was always kind of disheartening. I mean, I had a different view on it. I'd gotten an academic scholarship to go to another school out of the city. And so there I saw like people doing all manner of things to have successful lives. They existed in a myriad of different careers. And so for me, that kind of opened my eyes to a lot of other opportunities that a lot of my friends that I grew up around, they didn't see those things. So to me, it really started me thinking a lot about like potential and the power of the individual to kind of like maximize their potential. And so for me personally, when I left, I ended up, going through the computer thing, learning from my friends in other neighborhoods, getting computer from them, building machines. For a long time there, I actually paid my rent solely off of rebuilding computers, just using my skill set. But the thing is, I never really thought that I belonged in an office, and it would take like an industrial accident. I was a union laborer for a long time, and it was an industrial accident that actually forced me to use my computer skills as a career. And so I used those skills, and I've had a pretty awesome career. I've worked for the Department of Defense. I've worked for wonderful nonprofits. I've been an independent consultant for the past 15 years. I had a consultancy. We did coast to coast all through Canada. Really all that started with just like this interest in computers and finding the ways to actually use my potential in technology. And so for me, when I look at it, I see these like kids all around me with this great potential, but there's not a lot of things they're given, they're being offered to really maximize that potential. And I think really that's the key for building a strong society, is to have people of your society everywhere maximizing their individual potentials to make a working, functioning society.
You have a huge amount of responsibility, even without launching a new nonprofit. And I know that you just completed another milestone in your education as well. So why now? Why is this so important to you now that you do this work?
To me, I think, so I was in the for-profit sector for a long time. My company, I mean, for 15 years, was very profit oriented. And there wasn't really a lot of thought about giving back to the community. But it's like, for me, I mean, through the trials and tribulations that I've been through, and through seeing the change in the country that we live in, there's a real need to stop like what we call like a brain drain, where all these great minds that we could be using to better our society, to solve all of us, to solve the problems that are facing us now and in the future, we let them go to seed, we let them go to waste, right? And we let them follow these pathways that don't empower them and that don't empower our society. And so for me, I really wanted to see how much I could impact that and to help people to really bring that potential to bear.
Yeah, you've been, I think, hopefully pleasantly surprised at the resources that have come together. I know I've been pleasantly surprised. You might have already known that this was, you know, these resources were out there, these potential partners, but also the philanthropic resources, the grant funding opportunities that are sort of waiting for you to ask. I know it's a little soon for you to talk about who some of those resources and potential partners might be, but are you surprised at the speed at which these partners came to the table? Do you think this is partly about a level of awareness, heightened awareness and interest in making these kinds of investments, especially in Black and Brown communities? What do you think the driver is?
So I think that, so these historically marginalized communities, like there is a lot of potential there. And I think that it's easy to see that. I know, like in my field, in cybersecurity, for instance, we don't have enough, we don't have enough resources in our country, right, to support the need for cybersecurity, right? Like, so what's necessary is that a lot of people are looking at these communities and saying, there is a lot of potential in these communities. How do we invest in these communities to bring them to the table so that they can benefit our society in innumerable ways? For me, I've been absolutely amazed at how many people came to help put Junxbox together. I mean, from funding resources to material resources to planning. I mean, the mentorship from you and the DJ, I mean, amazing. Like, so that's just, I mean, it's been phenomenal. I didn't expect it to be such a big thing. I'm overwhelmed really by the response.
Well, it's a beautiful vision. And it comes, I think part of why I wanted you to spend a few minutes sharing your story is so that people could sense what I picked up when I first met you and spoke with you, that deep passion for humanity, for other young people who may be facing the same kinds of struggles that you personally overcame, that's the driver. It's not, if it turns out to be wildly profitable in some way, that's sort of extra, but the real purpose behind it is for you to make investments in other Ryans, right? Or whatever young person's name might be, whatever gender they might identify with. It's your way of coming full circle, and the talent and the gifts that you discovered when you had the opportunity, you're convinced that you'll find them in other young people like you. And I'm convinced. I'm right there with you. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I totally feel that. I mean, to me, like another portion of this, I'm a father, right? I have 2 young kids. And I was pretty active in their school before the pandemic. We went online during the pandemic. But before that, I was really active in their school. And one of the things that like was really difficult for me was the fact that I saw all of these kids, so many kids in their school that were just brilliant. I mean, just amazing in all different ways. And all of that potential, a lot of that potential was just like put in a box, right? And it was like hand behind your back, bubble in your mouth, don't talk, single file in the line, right? And it was like there was nothing really trying to pull like the amazingness out of these kids. And it drove me wild. Like, I mean, I got super active initially. That's actually how I started getting active, was I got active in like parent organizations, PTA in their school, and really tried to push for change in their school. And then I was like, this is way bigger than that. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's a systemic issue that is affecting many individuals who come from low SES environments.
Well, you're doing your part, Ryan. It's even if your first class only has 10 people in it, because that's the maximum you can take at the moment, those 10 are attached to another 10 each. So
definitely
it'll vibrate, it'll reverb, it'll have an impact, a much greater impact than just the 10 in the room. Not to mention the parents who might sit at the table and just listen in, and the bonding time they could have. That was one idea that occurred to me, that if you bring your child and you stay, that's quality parent and child time together, learning something that is going to be incredibly useful for your family. So if you can make that time 2:30 to 5:30, kicking off on July 19th at the Tacoma Colored Women's Club, 2316 South Yakima. And let's tell them one more time, Ryan, how to get signed up for Junxbox.
Definite. So sign up ways, so you can send an email to social@junxbox.org. That's social@junxbox.org. You can go ahead and call me direct. Direct line is 253-231-2866. And you can also go ahead and hit the website, which is www.junxbox.org. And you can go to the Say Hi page and go ahead and fill out the contact form, and we'll get back to you.
Yay. It's all good. It's pretty straightforward. And I just want to congratulate you on making this happen. You had a beautiful vision. You set about to manifesting it this past spring, and here we are. Junxbox in July is happening, July 19th at the Colored Women's Club. So looking forward to being there to support and encourage you, Ryan. Thank you for being here. We're going to close and thank the audience very much also for coming back and being with us this first show of July. We'll be back with a new show in 2 weeks. Remember, we'll do it every 2 weeks, so you'll get to see this telecast, this broadcast, this podcast on our YouTube page, so you can watch it over again if you missed something. I'm Carol Mitchell. This is the Black Robe Podcast. Goodbye.